Hey everyone, I'm Trevor L. Nelson.
And I'm Alex Stark, and we're here with Cinema Summit.
Today we talk with Jonathan Levine about the first productions he did out of college, which was a short, as well as producing a feature film. So check it out and take in the knowledge. Woosah.
The summer before my senior year was very busy, and it was I sort of think of it as like it's like the time of my life when my whole view of filmmaking changed. It was like when the rubber met the road, so to speak. I produced a 35 millimeter short film and a feature. The 35 millimeter short was called "It's a Wonderful Death." Was written and directed by Logan Burdick. He raised the money for it. We got the Panavision grant, which meant that Panavision loaned us a 35 millimeter camera and lens package, and then we just had to pay for the film and, of course, the cost of developing, which is really where they stick the knife in you. And the interesting thing about that short was the name of the short was "It's a Wonderful Death," and so the Grim Reaper. The scale of it was pretty extreme because it's about the President of the United States frames the Grim Reaper for murder and sends him to jail. And then the Grim Reaper breaks out of jail, teams up with the Garbage Man, and then to go expose the president for basically trying to cheat death. And that's why he had the Grim Reaper thrown in jail. So already the scale of it, just from those two sentences you can see, is pretty extreme. We shot all over Los Angeles. We shot in a courtroom. We shot outside City Hall. We shot in a city street with a garbage truck. We shot at some historical buildings that had to look like the White House. I think we shot it over 2 weeks. It ended up being, I think, a little under 30 minutes long. So, I mean, the scale of it was, I think, equal to that of a feature film. And the coordination of that was a lot of work. We had three producers on that project. One producer to just handle all of the actors and the casting director and SAG. Another producer to handle the effects and the art department. And then my job was to handle the locations and getting permits for this, going to scout the locations, coordinating with the locations to shoot in these different places. I'm very proud of that short because I feel like it all came together extremely well. I think people can argue about the models of doing. It was basically Logan's thesis film, and people can argue about the merits of doing a thesis film, whether or not short films have a place in the marketplace anymore. Logan didn't get hired to direct a feature off of his thesis film, but he did end up. The whole project sort of proved that he could produce and deliver a very large-scale project. And I think for all of us as producers on the project too, it gave us a certain amount of confidence moving forward that we could handle a project of this size. That while it was a short, it could have been a feature, and there wouldn't have been much of a difference because shooting a feature in 2 weeks is possible, just like we shot this short in 2 weeks as well. Then about a month later, during that summer, I produced a feature called Seer, which is about a bunch of American POWs held in a Saudi prison. And that was actually cheaper than the short, even though it was longer. That was interesting because we shot it I'd say about 70% of it took place in the actual prison room. They're held in this big sort of bunker set. And we purchased the set off of, I think it was on Craigslist or something, from somebody who designed a set for Saw or one of those horror movies, and they were selling this set for cheap, and they came and they built it on a theater stage, and we basically just shot in this little space I think we shot in this space for about 2 weeks, and then, most of the scene takes place in this bunker, and then there's sort of flashbacks to what happened before, and the flashbacks we shot, I think, one day at one day in the forest, and then one day at a military complex in San Pedro, but most of the time we were just on. Oh yeah, and then we went to Yuma, Arizona, which is you have those sort of rolling sand dunes where the desert just kind of sprawls out think it's probably most famous because that's what they shot Return of the Jedi, so that's what it looks like. And we basically just spent one morning shooting there just to, again, to give it scope and scale. And probably one of my favorite stories from that experience was there was a military base nearby, and as we were filming, they happened to fly a helicopter right over our camp where we were shooting. And so we're like, get the camera up. And so we have a shot of the helicopter flying over and one of our actors waving to the helicopter. And, so it's like you just got, $20,000 worth of production value off of that random helicopter flying by. So.
Do you love filmmaking as much as we do?
I bet you do. That's why you're here.
Yeah, thanks for watching. If you like us, like, comment, and share below. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel.
And also check out our website, cinemasummit.com. Check out our podcast, the No Budget Filmmaking Podcast, wherever you get your podcast.
Yeah, and come back. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, why not?